I hope that you just recently watched the E minor pentatonic and E blues scales, where we kind of talked about what a pentatonic was and how the blues scale is kind of adding a note to it. Just so you know, it is very difficult to really define a blues scale, but I'm showing you what you might call the most common way that a guitar player would define and play a blues scale. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do the movable versions of that scale. Perhaps you remember or have watched our lessons on bar chords and how what a bar chord does is taking a regular chord position, for instance like an E position, an E chord, and using our finger to capo up, play the same position, but now it's a totally different chord. We're here, and how you can just put it in different positions. Well, we can do the same thing with the minor pentatonic and the blues scale. However, we can't just take the notes that we're already playing and just move it up. You know, remember how it was? So we did it that way. But I can't just play open strings and move just the finger notes up, because the open strings are going to have to move too. All right? So bear with me for a minute. What if I just barred across the whole guitar and played 03, 02, 02, 02, 03, 03. Well, now I've moved the whole scale up, right? But this is hard to play. We're not going to play it this way. Don't worry. What we're going to do, but we're going to kind of think of it as if there were a bar here. It's just we're going to play each one individually. So instead of playing open string, 3rd fret, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to play my 5th fret and then my 8th fret. So you might again think of this almost like a capo, but we're actually gonna, I'm not gonna say that's 0, because we're not really borrowing or capoing. We're just gonna play what the capo would play individually. So I'm gonna do it in terms of fingers here for a second, and I'm not gonna say frets. I'm gonna say 1, 4, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 4. Or if you want to do it with frets, the fret numbers are 5, 8, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 8, 5, 8. You can see that I like to use pinky when I play this. And I think that's a great way to do it. You do not have to use pinky. Some people also play it this way, where they make what's called an extension between their first and their second fingers. And they're going to come down here and play. So you can do it that way too. Again, you might just try both ways, sort of like we tried maybe the different fingerings both ways in our E minor pentatonic video. We might try both ways and see what works better. I like this way. I think a lot of you it's going to be a bit of a stretch maybe, unless you have big hands to do it this way. But again, it may depend on the solo or the song you're playing too, to see which one works better. So try it both ways. So go ahead and pause that video, play it up and down a little bit, maybe get accustomed to the movable minor pentatonic. And I hope I explained that okay, how what we're basically doing is taking a capo, putting it on the 5th fret, and playing the same thing I showed you with the E minor, but up here. But I'm not going to use a capo because I don't want to be locked into that position. I want to be able to do other things, but then come here and just play all those notes individually. Okay? So, hopefully you've played that up a few times and then back down as well. Now we're going to add the note that will turn it into the blues scale. Again, adding that kind of extra note. The reason I have certain notes circled, by the way, is because they are what are called the tonic notes. With the blues scale and the minor pentatonic, this is movable, like I told you, meaning you could actually do it on any fret. But I also wrote specifically that this is the A minor pentatonic scale. Why? Because we're starting on A. So I circled the A here, I circled the A here, and I circled the A here. Just because that's going to be important when we are working on improvisation with this scale. So I just wanted to reference that real quick. But what if I went, and we'll go over the blues scale a little bit, but I'm kind of thinking about how we're playing it on the 5th fret. It's movable, meaning I can play the same pattern anywhere. What if I want to play the G minor pentatonic scale? Well, I'm just going to start on the 3rd fret. And there's the G minor pentatonic. So then the A minor pentatonic, like we've been working on, or the A blues, if you throw in that extra note, is going to be on the 5th fret. Maybe you can think of where the B minor pentatonic would be. If A is on the 5th fret, where would B be? If you said 6th fret, you're not right. I'm sorry. But if you said 7th fret, you are right, because there is a sharp between the A and the B. So this would be like an A sharp or a B flat blues scale. This would be B. Another thing I should mention is this is kind of like your starting blues position. There are other versions of the blues scale, different positions up and down the neck that you can play. But this is just the absolute classic position that I think you want to start with, and you'll be able to do so many things. Later on, you'll be playing in this position. And maybe you'll do you'll kind of slide up and do a little thing because you'll get comfortable in different versions of that same scale. Note that I'm not doing this scale and moving it. I'm still playing this scale, but with the notes moved up. That'll be don't worry about that. We'll get to that in a little bit. We'll differentiate that later. But what I want you to do is I want you to try that blues scale up and down. And back down. You might like that sound quite a bit, especially on the way down. The note we added is often called the blue note. But you know, a lot of people would tell you that that blue note is actually not here. It's not really on the 6th fret. It's definitely not the 7th fret. It's definitely not the 5th fret. What they would tell you is that the blue note is kind of in between the 5th and the 6th fret. But how can we do that? I mean, we can't do that, right? But we can. Do you hear that? I'm using some bends, aren't I? So I'm going to put that up here because a lot of people will not really finger the blue note. They will actually just play their minor pentatonic. But when they get to say the 7th fret on the 3rd string, instead of playing 8, they will play the 7 as its own note, but then they will bend it. If you bend it far enough, you can make it sound exactly like your 8th fret. You have to bend kind of the heck out of it. I can almost get there. But again, if you kind of feel like the blue note is maybe not quite all the way up there, maybe you just bend it a little bit less. And you just feel that pull on your heart, basically, that the blues can kind of give you. So I would urge you to play the scale with fingered notes, with the fingered blue notes, but also with the bent versions of them. And then on the way down, it'll be a little more natural feeling. I'm going to bend the 7, then I'm going to play it normal to show that those are actually two different notes. The bent one, that time I didn't actually pluck it, did I? But I still clearly differentiated those notes, the bent 7 and the regular 7. If you just bend it, it's going to be good too. I mean, actually that worked pretty well, but you usually want to bend with intention. You can see I bent and then went back, so you could clearly hear those two notes. Okay, so as you come back down, so have fun messing with the movable minor pentatonic, the movable blues scale, and the blues scale utilizing bends. Can you use them back in the open position we learned earlier? Yes, I didn't address it quite as much, but sure, you can for sure. We will use both of those quite a bit when we go through our improvisation classes later.